What is going on, everybody? It's Roku back with some more League of Legends content, and today I got another amazing video for you guys. Today we have our Know Your Enemy video featuring Jax, the Grandmaster of all weapons, or whatever his title is. I don't really care. Yeah, I actually made a community post the other day. Not the other day, I think 2 day earlier, asking you guys about which videos you guys want to watch the most in my channel. And more than half of you were asking for Know Your Enemies, so there are clearly some matchups in the game that some of you guys are struggling with that you would like videos on. And this is what this video is, because the Jax matchup is probably one of the most requested matchup videos that I get like questions for. So I'm gonna make this video just for you guys. So yeah. Once I get my recording equipment ready, or my recording setup ready, not equipment, I'll get that Wild Rift Darius guide out. And I've also recorded, and I'm going to upload it at some point, a tier list video that I've made where I explain how good every single top laner is in solo queue. So if you're a person newer into League, or you're already good and high elo or experienced and you want to know which champs to play to climb fastest in solo queue, that video should be perfect for you. So stay up to date with the channel, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and stay up in our community tab and interact with my posts so that we can be better as a community, etc, etc, etc. Don't miss those videos. So yeah, let's just get right into the matchup. First things first, the Jax matchup changes drastically whether he takes Ignite or Teleport, right? So, Teleport Jax is far more manageable, and though Ignite Jax isn't impossible to deal with, it's just that every single thing that you do correctly, and every single mistake, like everything you're doing right, you're supposed to do even more, and every single mistake you have to make them less, right? Jax Ignite lane is way more volatile, and he's way more threatening in all-ins. So you cannot take bad trades, you cannot make like stupid mistakes, you can't do like these sorts of dumb things into a Jax top lane if he has Ignite. If he has Teleport, you have more room of error, where you can make more mistakes, but generally speaking, you don't want to mess around with a Jax if he has Ignite. You gotta be way more perfectly in terms of your play, right? Alright, with that out of the way, this matchup video is for Ignite Jax, but all the tips I give, all the advice, should apply to all Jax matchups. So yeah. First off, let's talk about our rune choice. For this game, I went for, let me just pull up the OPGG. For this game, this is this match right now, this Jax. I went for a Conquer Sorcery Tree, this rune setup, and that is mostly because, well, okay, it's mostly because I like that setup more than, like, it's the most fun setup for me, right? So yeah, I personally never go Resolve because I'm way too mechanically dependent on Nimbus Cloak, but you can go both Sorcery and Resolve into Jax for two different playstyles, right? If you know you're smurfing, if you're confident, if you're mechanically good on Darius, or you know that you're going to be better than Jax, then go for like a Nimbus Cloak or Sorcery, because this is going to let you have more move speed, you're going to kite him better, you're going to beat him more, etc, 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 right? And it's way better for teamfights. But if you tend to struggle versus Jax lanes, like you're not the best, right? You kind of lose to Jax lanes and you're having a hard time, then go for Resolve. And specifically, make sure you take Bone Plating, right? Bone Plating is insane versus Jax, and if you're having issues with him, take Bone Plating, and it kind of makes the lane a bit easier, because Jax does tend to put it in auto attacks with his abilities, and that just uses up all of Bone Plating. So yeah. Though level 1 he can kind of take it easily with his E, level 3 onwards in all ends, Bone Plating is amazing. So if you have troubles with the lane, go for Resolve with Bone Plating, but if you are, already good, I guess, I don't know, then go for Resolve. Anyway, so those are our two rune choices, right? And we are gonna go for, like, you can either go for D-Shield or D-Blade, and this should be dependent on whether the Jax goes Ignite or not. If Jax goes Teleport, go for D-Blade. I went D-Shield here in case the Jax is good and he takes good trades, so that, I can sustain a bit if I make mistakes, so that, like, I can still kill him, even if, like, I lose a trade. So yeah, level 1, what do we want to do? Now versus Jax, he's a very, like, hit or miss champion. You either go aggressive or you don't do anything, right? Because if you give Jax prio in lane and he gets level 2 first, then he's gonna destroy you with his QE, and you won't have E level 1 to contest him with. So when it's the first wave, you always almost want to contest it. And because Jax players tend to take E first, you want to Q poke him. You want to basically poke him with Q and walk out of his range of his stun. One big thing that you have to keep in mind is Jax level 1 is stronger than Darius level 1. Unless we can kite him with Ghost, if we keep exchanging auto attacks, Jax will beat you level 1 sometimes. And a lot of the times, Jax will beat you if he blocks your W or something. Or, in this case, if he has Ignite. So, if you're leashing or something, right, don't go through this Tri-Brush, or don't go through, just walk around. Because if the Jax is kind of smart, he might try to cheese you, get a good trade, or even, get a summon or something. So yeah, try to avoid all-inning Jax level 1, unless he makes a big mistake or something, like he overextends but he misses his stun, and then you can just go all-in on him, but other than that, you don't want to mess with him too much, especially if he has Ignite. So, look what I do here. I go for the CS, Q, right? And I walk out, avoid it, and I even land a nice little auto attack there as a goodbye gift, right? That's basically what you want to do. Every time he tries to CS, you want to Q him. But if some smart Jax players will pretend like they're going for CS, and then the second you press Q, they'll go on you and stun you, right? Don't let them do this, right? Just be careful, be active with your right clicks, right? Move a lot and adapt to his movement. So make sure you hit your Qs against Jax level 1, because a lot of the times this Jax is building D-Blade, so he's playing for all-ins, right? With Ignite, that's kind of what you do in Jax, you play for all-ins. But whereas the teleport Jax and some other Jaxes, they kind of get C-Pot. And with Corrupt Pot, it's in your best interest to hit them with their Qs so that they have to use their Corrupt Potions earlier on, right? Because if you don't do that, then they basically have free health to work with. So you gotta make sure you poke them level 1, right? So do it properly. Because he has 2 stacks, he can't come back to these minions and kill them, because then I'll just get more stacks on him. Just being aggressive here. I make sure he misses the minions. It wasn't visible because it's a replay bug, but I tried to Q him there. I give him a CS, and then I walk back because his E is about to come up, and if I fight him here, he'll basically attack me, stun me, and walk away, and he will win the trade, right? So I'm not taking bad trades. I'm just being really careful of his range. And now there's this one minion. What I do here is this. I walk back, because if I was in his jump range, the second this minion died, he would have jumped on me, beaten me up, stunned me, and walked away, which is horrible into Ignite Jax. Now, because in this special case, I have my minion that's about to die, and I'm going to get level 2, I stay basically here, so that I get this minion XP, and then I walk back in. And at this point, the lane is different. Because once you get your E, the Jax lane kind of becomes more manageable. Because Jax is a very, he's got a lot of DPS, right? If he's up in your face, if he's beating you up, he's very, very hard to kill. Because he actually does more damage up front than you, right? He has a lot of DPS. So, the key to beating a Jax isn't to straight up man fight out damage him, it is to kite him, right? Use your E, use your W, use your Q, keep him at bay, only walk in melee range for auto attacks. You have to kite with so many of these bruisers, and Jax is no exception. You have to kite him, otherwise you don't kill him, right? Now, once you have your E, it's not just about kiting him, but you can kind of keep him in long enough in fights to the point where he's basically forced to all in you and die, right? So if you can all in Jax without him fighting you, you just kite him, but also keep him on all in, you kind of get to kill him, right? And this becomes easier beyond level 6. Now, because Ghost lets us avoid his Counter-Strike way more easily. His Counter-Strike is a stun, right? With Ghost, you can kind of run away from his Counter-Strike range, but most of the time when you're playing against normal Jax players and, your positioning is not that much better than theirs, what you want to do is use your E to avoid getting Counter-Strike stunned, right? Or use your E to make sure that you're both stunned. So every time Jax is E'ing you, and he's up in your face, use your E and walk away from him, right? And this is one of like, I'm going to show you how I all in him here. But what you basically do against Jax is this, right? If you're in his melee range, like, and he walking up to you, and he activates Counter Strike, pull, and then like you know, this is like level 6 or so when you can basically one shot over combo. You pull, you ghost, and then you walk down, right? It's like a direction. You're walking towards his safety, but you're also walking away from his Counter Strike, and it's like mirrored if you're on this side of the lane, right? What this does is this. Jax now has two choices, right? He can jump on the minion to safety, or jump on something to safety, which gives you time to chase him and murder him, or he can jump on you to fight you and beat you. And if you have Ghost activated, you're going to kite him down, and he won't be able to do anything, right? So that's basically like the algorithm for all-inning a Jax, if, like, you know, if it's kind of like, if you're kind of ahead. If you're more so like, you know, even with him, you mostly want to wait for him to make a mistake. And that mistake is him queuing onto you, right? Most Jax players will queue after you queue, right? So if you're against a good Jax, don't ever try to queue him because he'll just jump onto you. You have to hold your queue until after he queues, right? Or you can actually queue him if the wave is here. Like, if the wave is around here, just poke him for free. But until then, if you're up in his face, you know, don't queue him because he's just going to jump onto you, avoid it, stun you, and walk away, right? What you have to do is, like, kind of fight him with your auto attacks, bait his Counter Strike, and then do that ghost thing I told you about, and then bait his jump, right? Because if he doesn't have his Counter Strike and he doesn't have his jump, he has no way to beat you up, and he has no way to escape. So he's pretty much dead, right? These are two things they have to play against, his Q and his E. So let's just look at it like an example all-in, right? I just blasted you with a bunch of tips. Let's just look at an example all-in. He makes the big mistake of jumping onto me, and I pull him to make sure that we're both stunned, since I know I'm not going to be able to walk out of his, you know, Counter-Strike range. What happened here? Jax has no Q, Jax has no E. So yeah, what happens here is just basically me murdering this guy. I actually murder him later. Okay. He does the same mistake and I kill him again. Okay. Alright. He actually made the same mistake twice, but okay, it kind of proves the same point. There, what happened was I basically got him to no HP. Let me just go back there. Okay, this is just for fun, basically. But what happened here was, if Darius wasn't nerfed, I would go for that and kill him. You know, one more flash auto or something would kill him, but because of the nerfs, I didn't go for that. But yeah, looks like this guy isn't very smart because he basically made the same exact mistake again. Right? He's doing all this stuff. He jumps onto me. I'm way lower HP, right? But he has no Q, no E. I pull him in, auto, W, whatever, and I just murder him. What I flashed to make sure that he couldn't auto me, right? You don't really need to do that if you have enough damage to kill him right there. Like, it was kind of unnecessary for me here, but I had to make sure, because his W, if he hit me with it, I would still kill him, but the Ignite would finish me off. So I don't want that. I flash for my safety. So you kind of get the idea, right? If he uses both Q and E, he's dead. Go in and murder him. And a lot of the Jaxes in your games, they won't have Ignite. So what, like me doing this flashy thing to just avoid dying, you won't need to do that. He's just gonna be dead, okay? So yeah, try to basically like play around his Counter-Strike, play around his Q. Like, the later on it gets, the more, like, I guess, easier the lane becomes, because what basically happens level 6 is, though Jax is way better in earlier trades, Darius becomes much, much stronger in all-ins. So, like, all-in Jax after 6 it's kind of hilarious. I didn't kill him with ult here, so it's not that good to display my point. Okay, there we go. This is basically an example of me murdering basically one-shotting the Jax, right? Oh, dude, I hate this player. Okay, we're just gonna go by the time because I can't be bothered to work with this horrible game. Right, coding. One thing to keep in note versus the Jax lane is that you almost always want to be aggressive, right? You have to be as aggressive as possible into Jax lanes because Jax is a champion where if you let him breathe, he's gonna come back into the game, right? He's gonna farm up and he's gonna eventually get to a point where he can kill you. So you always have to keep pressuring on him, keep pushing onto him. Don't back down in lane. Be aggressive, be confident, and like you can see, in like I basically play up in his face the whole time I'm ahead of him, right? I use my pressure to just push him back, and that's basically what you want to do into Jax because, like I said, you don't want to give this guy any room to breathe. And also he went Ignite Jax, which basically means that, like, though he's a bit better in all-ins, he's kind of, like, less teamworky, so I can isolate him and kill him more. So, let's just get back to this clip of me killing him, if this horrible clan would let me. Now, a lot of Jax players build Bork, and Bork is amazing in all-ins, right? Bork is amazing in all-ins. But if you're ahead of a Jax, if he builds Bork, he's basically free meat. Auto, R. I just basically one-shot him. They nerfed the bleed, but it's not that bad to the point where you can live that all-in. So, you kind of get the idea, right? Like, post 6, the laning becomes much easier. I'm just gonna watch Darius as I talk. Okay, post 6, the lane becomes way more, like... It's easier in all-ins, because, like, the kiting becomes way more important, because the DPS is higher because of his new ult passive. But on the other side, if Jax gets to a certain point of health, you just one-shot him with your ultimate. So, I guess the most important thing into a Jax lane is just to make sure you kite him. Kite. And, like, if you don't have Ghost, and you're not stronger than him, you should probably back down and not be too aggressive. One fun thing you can do, I guess, is to make sure... I'm just going to, like, tell a bunch of tips for you here, right? So they're not really that organized now. One thing you can do right now, not right now, but you can do always with your pull, is when Jax jumps with Q, you can actually cancel it, right? And this is useful in 2 scenarios. When you're fighting a Jax and you know that he's going to jump away, you can use your E to cancel his jump, sometimes, right? Or if you know that a Jax wants to jump onto you, this is the part where you're going to basically be canceling it more often, right? If the Jax is jumping onto you, you can E him in the midair and cancel the damage of his Q. And this is perfect, because this not only cancels the damage of his Q, but he also puts him in a position for you to Q, and for you to basically murder, right? One more tip that I can give you is basically keep an eye on Jax's passive stacks. Let's just look at this. Jax's passive is... It's this thing where every time he auto-attacks a creep, or a minion, or anything, he gets more attack speed, right? So, if you're gonna fight Jax, make sure that you keep him off of the lane. And this is the reasons why you kind of have to be aggressive against Jax, because if you let Jax hit the wave continuously, then he's going to get his passive stacks, and he's going to get a lot of attack speed. And if he has all this attack speed, he'll basically be able to, like, all-in you way more effectively. Like, it's going to be way easier for him to kill you with a lot more attack speed. So, this is especially important earlier on if he has Ignite, because... Like, look, I'm gonna be honest, we don't really... A lot of times, we only almost beat Jax. We don't, like, you know, definitively beat him. And Ignite plus all of that attack speed turns that from almost beating him to dying, basically. So, try not to fight Jax when he has all of his auto attacks stacked up. Try to basically just keep him off of the wave. This game was kind of sad. We just got destroyed. I was kind of tilted in this game because while I'm doing this, the Jax basically is just CSing. Okay. Another thing to keep in note is that Jax's W... I'm going to basically like talk about Jax's kit. But yeah. One thing to keep in note is that Jax's W extends his auto attack range. So when he's walking towards you with W, try to, if you're gonna ult him, just do W. But if you can't, just try to be more afraid of his like auto attack range when he has his W activated. Jax players will really like to do like really good Jax players will try to block your auto W with their counter strike. And a trick that I found that works into some of the better Jax players is instead of just doing auto W, you can do auto attack and you can press the S button on your keyboard, which stops the auto attack, right? So you do auto attack, and before it, like just as it goes, you press S, and you do this to Jax in order to bait his counter strike, right? You basically like all of the all-in stuff against Jax only works if he no longer has counter strike. As long as he has that ability and his Q, we can't really kill him. So that's basically a technique to bait it out. One thing that Jax players like to do, because of like Jax's ultimate, which is basically like he hits like anything twice, and on the third hit, it's like a special attack, right? What they love to do is they like to hit a minion twice, and they have to jump on you and do auto W. And what this does is it delivers the super cool, like the powerful auto attack on the passive and the W damage. So if you see a Jax doing this, then know that he's about to jump onto you and basically predict that and pull him and kill him, right? And yeah, I can't really go into much more with this matchup because it's a very big skill matchup at the end of the day. Whoever postures better, whoever has better attacks, auto attacks. I tried my best to give as many tips as possible, but it's not a very complicated matchup, you know? It's who can kite better and who can predict the other person better. So it's a very big skill matchup, but I hope that this video helped you beat more Jax players, basically. I know it's shorter than the ones I usually make and way more disorganized, but I think this was a fairly decent video. Anyway, that's it for the video. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm not sure if you actually watched until the end of the video here, but if you did, thank you very much. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next videos. Peace out.